Health is a life sentence without parole. Too many of us carry invisible wounds, trauma, loss, shame, and silence. I created the Crawl, Walk, Run podcast to break that silence, to give a voice to the voiceless. This is not just a show. It is a platform, a place where authors, veterans, first responders, survivors, and everyday people can share their truth without fear of judgment. We crawl through the darkness. We walk toward healing, and we run into purpose. Together, we will build this community. This podcast is about resilience, about stories that matter, and about reminding the world that your voice could save someone's life. I'm your host, Stevo, and this is Crawl, Walk, Run.
Some people survive tragedy. Others spend the rest of their lives helping others survive theirs. Chelsea Elizabeth is an author, speaker, founder, and advocate whose mission was born from a moment that changed everything. A life-altering event split her world into two chapters: who she was before and who she was forced to become after. What followed was not simply a story of survival. It was a battle to reclaim identity, purpose, hope, and a future that no longer looked the way she imagined. Through raw honesty and unflinching truth, Chelsea transformed pain into purpose. She is the author of That One Shattered Day, the first book in a powerful trilogy that explores the realities most people never see after trauma. The isolation, the unanswered questions, the broken relationships, the loss of self, and the long, difficult road toward healing. Her work doesn't just tell a story, it gives a voice to those living through their own. But Chelsea's mission extends far beyond the pages of a book. As the founder of RF180, she has created a nonprofit dedicated to helping individuals navigate life-changing events by connecting them with support, resources, structure, and community. Her work bridges the gap between surviving a crisis and learning how to rebuild a life afterward. Today, Chelsea is building more than a platform. She is building a movement centered on restoration, resilience, connection, and honest conversations about what recovery truly looks like. Because her message is one the world desperately needs to hear. You cannot always choose the day that shatters your life, but you can choose what you build from the pieces.
Story time with Stevo. What's going on? Season 3, episode 22, Crawl, Walk, Run podcast. And today is an anniversary edition. I have my very first guest that I've ever had on my podcast back. She asked to come back. And I am grateful that she's coming back because from 1 year to now, she is killing it. Her name is Chelsea Elizabeth, and she is the author of That One Shattered Day. She is an author, she is a public speaker, and she is a fucking survivor. I'm going to bring her in. What's up, Chelsea?
Not much. Thanks for having me. 1
Yeah,
year.
no problem.
1 year. Can you believe it flies by? You think
Yeah, the last time we did this, it was all audio.
Yeah, yep. And you were in your travel trailer. You had your pups that wanted to chime in, and yeah, it was lots of.
How's it been?
It has been. Anyone who's been through any kind of we'll call it life 180 of sorts knows that it's the ebbs and flows. 1 minute you're on the up and up, and the next minute you're going down for another surgery, and you've got people that elect to shoot you down anytime they can. In a moment that you think support is coming, those are the moments where support is stripped, and you are left with yourself. And it's your choice whether you stand up and fight or you lay down and die. Surviving a life-threatening event was the easy part. The physical was the easy. It was the emotional. It was the expectations that people would show up when they didn't. And when they showed up, it was to poke holes in the story and dispute what had truly happened and rewrite your story. And that's the biggest piece of the puzzle. We validate ourselves. And then when somebody challenges what we know to be true, we begin second guessing everything. And it's in that second guessing that you really discover who you are and what you're made of and what the story really is about. And mine, the manuscript that went out for limited release. And that is my account, my different accounts of what had happened, how I felt. I call it my Dear Diary word vomit, because in the midst of everything, there were so many thoughts and emotions, and none of them had a proper place. Nothing sat where it was supposed to sit. And that became the challenge of really working through it verbally. And in that verbal word vomit, I began to understand the emotions, what emotions I was supposed to place with those, because anger was my go-to, always. And learning how to feel sadness, well, it just sucks. Nobody wants to know what it's like to feel sad. Nobody wants to cry. Nobody wants the down days where you're questioning your entire being.
So let's knock it out. Let's knock it out.
Let's do it.
So 1 year ago, I asked you this question: what does crawl, walk, run mean to you?
It means, to me, what I see is a loop. Crawl, walk, run. Crawl, walk, run. You do it over and over and over until one day you stand up for a few seconds longer. And then one day you're running. The next day you're crawling again. Crawl, walk, run is a lifestyle. It's not a phrase that you just say and move on from. It's a lifestyle that you have to adopt. And you have to adopt it in a way that's accepting. You have to accept that just because you ran yesterday doesn't mean you're going to be running today. You can be flat on the floor. And it's in that loop that you gain strength and that you make peace with the emotions that we bury, with the world that we don't really want to accept, and a life that was handed to you in pieces. Now, what do you do with it? And that's crawl, walk, run. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle you have to adopt. You have to keep going, because the alternative is giving up. So if you're crawling, if you're walking, if you're running, you're living. If you're not doing any of that, you're surviving, possibly dying. And so what it means to me is that every day I get up and I crawl, walk, run. And every night I thank God that I crawled, if it was to that, if it came to that. So that's what it means to me. It's a tough one. You think that when the scars fade, that life goes back to normal. And there is no normal. And there is no new normal, because normal keeps recreating itself. What was last week isn't this week. different things hit in a moment you're not expecting them. And you're back at square one. For example, my book trailer that went out. I saw it before it went out, and it was in that moment I realized that I had been talking about my life and as if it were somebody else's. It was the most heart-stopping moment I think I've ever experienced in my life, is watching that book trailer and watching the events of my life unfold and wondering if, my lungs could breathe the air or my heart would start beating again. So that was January, 2 years after, going on the third year, that I realized that the emotional work had not even begun yet. Psychologically, I made peace with it. I can talk about it all day long. Physically, obvious. Emotionally, no, I'd completely checked out of it emotionally. And let me tell you, checking back in, those were some ugly, dark days. January was the month I just wanted to quit, run away, hide, no more, done. It has beaten me, can't do it. And it was in that month that God taught me some of the hardest lessons of recovery and of becoming the version of yourself after that one day. And if you knew all of the things that January brought, you'd wonder how in the world I'm still here smiling. And I question that often. But it was knowing that whatever I was going through, there had to be a purpose. There had to be a reason. And if I held on long enough, I'd understand that reason. It's what we all have to do is just hang on for one more day. Believe that it's almost over. Eventually it'll end. Eventually it will feel normal.
Well, I'm glad that you carried the conversation on. I lost whole internet connection, so I'm glad that you stayed in.
I wondered where you went.
Yeah,
I just thought it was a normal effect.
No, I was trying to reach out to you, but I'm glad that you kept the conversation going. So, I don't know what happened to the internet. So, I'm going to get into this whole thing now. So,
okay, yep.
Are you ready? Are you ready to knock it out?
I'm ready.
Okay. Oh, my goodness gracious! I know, having a conniption fit back behind the scenes here, but all right. So you were my very first guest, and looking back now, what do you remember most about our first conversation?
What I remember most, and what was sticking out most to me, was your explanation of what post-traumatic stress disorder is. Because I remember my first shock to the system being that one Facebook post, curing PTSD. And here I was, a year post trauma, and I'm still sitting in this loop of terror and horror. Out of nowhere, a flash, the sound of teeth scraping on your skull, the growls, the barks, the sudden anything. I was jumping out of my skin. And when I was laying there that night reading that, I thought, oh my gosh, this can't be true. And scrolling down into comments, you wrote, PTSD is a life sentence without parole. You learn to live with it. And I thought, okay, well, he must know what's going on, because I've heard that before. And so it's that connection and that moment that breathes life back into me. And in these podcasts, you do a lot of different ones. They're on topic, not on topic, but rarely are they focused on the emotional toll that PTSD takes and the learning to live with it. And so in our first podcast, it was that learning to live with this life. And for the first time, knowing that I wasn't alone, somebody actually got it. And there was a whole network of people watching our podcast saying, oh my God, I get it. I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. I'm not losing my mind. Not today. And you had a team to fight with. And it's that team that carries you from the crawl to the walk to the run. And somewhere along the way, we forgot that we need each other to pick each other up. What I have in me today is something someone else needs, and vice versa. And we forgot how much that connection really meant. And really, that is where the RF 180 took a turn of, you know what? Suddenly, this whole elephant in the room is now, a little puppy. It's not as big because it's not just me. There are other people that feel this, think this, need this, and can talk about this. And so when you're actually putting words behind the emotions you can't figure out, it has less power. And the second somebody says, I understand, here's what happened, you're like, oh, okay. Well, no, that doesn't have power over me anymore. I can put that to bed. And it's in those relationships, those connections, that human connection, those conversations that really are just opening up everything, the vulnerabilities, the fears. Those are what began to heal. And it wasn't until that conversation, that podcast, that what I was going through felt more natural, less intimidating, less confusing. And I began to revalidate myself. And again, with the crawl, walk, run, it's a matter of, I call it unvalidating yourself and revalidating yourself. Because the stories, my story, there's so much of me that doesn't want to believe my own story. And the brain has a very sneaky way of protecting itself and saying, nah, didn't happen like that. Nope, we're okay. Nope. And that's our way of subconsciously protecting ourselves. And after our podcast, I downloaded my medical records. I went to the hospital and got the photos they took. I got the photos from police, animal control, and my neighbors, all the cameras. And little by little, I started opening them up.
I remember after the podcast, didn't you have to go get more surgery?
Yeah, so that was the pretty big ones were after that. So was March of 25, March, May, July, September, December, and then January 2026. So that was the series of some of the final major ones. One of them was a little bit unexpected and had stayed in the hospital a little over, 10 days. Had to do a lot around the forehead and eye area, and just remove and replace some different things. And that one, I was just mutilated. My eyes, I don't think, opened for 4 or 5 days.
Wow.
So, yes, I just became a fixture.
What was I going to say? So, did you think that you'd be sitting here a year later with me?
Well, I had hoped. I've gotten a lot of calls from podcasts I did in the beginning, and I would hope that we would be able to reconnect. and really go into what's new with me, what's new with you, and really give hope to what comes next. I think that part of my fear was not knowing what came next and how to navigate that. And I think we all expect, once you're well, once the physical is recovered, that everything else just falls into place and we're perfectly fine. And opening up and sharing more about the lie that is has become evident to me that that's what people need is, no, you're not behind. No, you're not lost. No, you're not doing it wrong. I'm nearly 3 years out, and it wasn't until January of this year that I finally got to the emotional overhaul of it. And it was a starting back over. And I may start over a dozen more times. I don't know.
Do you think the podcast we did together lit the fire?
For me, it did. And I hope in a lot of other people it did. Because with both of our stories, both are extreme. But if you were to look at both of us, you would not think that anything as earth-shattering as it is happened to either one of us. We look like normal people, put together, got it going on, lot to say, and I'm here in front of you today saying I don't have it together. There are days that I just am hit with a wave, and it is everything I can do just to peel myself out of that shattered place and keep going. And we human beings, we can have pity parties. I can throw a pity party with the best of them. And, in my mind, I'm downplaying that. When, in fact, those pity parties...
You look absolutely amazing. Your transformation because you and I came on camera prior to the interview a year ago.
Yeah.
And what you look like today is like 100%. So.
Yep. It has been, I guess, 2 years of learning how to use my face and figure out which muscles are alive and where the nerves are and everything. But my team of surgeons, incredible. They were able to really put me back together in a way that is clinically impossible. You read the medical reports. I have a lot of those that were released just to validate the story. And I really didn't have much chance of living because when I was in ICU, I had a blood clot in the right vertebral artery, and the only artery that wasn't severed going to the skull was the carotid. And, that was one I had held. I remember thinking, if I'm going to make it out of here, this is my only shot. And the blood clot went away. I've had shoulder surgery, got MRSA in the bone. And so if it wasn't the clot, it was MRSA. Then it was the dying tissue. And I just kept getting well, and I kept getting better, and I kept surprising. And it wasn't always for, I'm very competitive, very much an athlete. And if you tell me I can't or won't, or, I'm going to defy. Maybe it's the ADHD. It is the ADHD. But it wasn't even, let's defy this prognosis. It was a matter of saying, you know what? I'm not going to sit here with home health and lay around. I need to get up. I need to move. And, I need to find some kind of happy place, or I'll not make it. And that was really just removing home health and going back to the gym and making myself my own little research project of, okay, if the body is going to heal, well, what do I have to give it? What does it need? And, went to my wound care doctor, and she informed me that just the healing of the head was burning about 4,500 calories. And I thought, oh, great, I'm a little bitty thing anyway. It's like, okay, so I've got to eat that. Then I've got to take in the calories it is to sustain and stay alive. Now I'm working out. I mean, how am I going to get 7,000 calories in? And so I took my mind out of the obvious and put it into something else of, okay, well, if I'm going to get better, if I'm going to avoid skin grafts, years of skin grafts, let's see if we can do it. And the brain is a very powerful, I call it the machine. And through a lot of the research, the exercise, just rejoining a life that I enjoy, which is physical activity. The skin that was dead, there's some pictures of the dead strip on the back of my head. I'd go to wound care and they would peel it back, and fresh skin started to grow. And week after week after week, it kept growing, and no skin grafts were necessary. And so when you open up my medical reports and read everything and then look at me, it's almost as if that person and this person aren't the same person. And there's nothing short of God's divine intervention, a miracle. Whatever he has for me to say or do, I'm here to do it. And maybe it is to say, you know what? You don't have to be mangled. You don't have to be broken. You don't have to have physical signs of injury to be broken. You can look just like me, just like you. You can carry yourself out through the day and be the boss of everything and still be broken. And it doesn't take a catastrophic incident to cause PTSD. It just doesn't. And life is traumatic. You change. If tomorrow is not going to look like today, that's a trauma. Whether it's divorce, loss of a pet, family member, a move, relocation, job loss, that's trauma. And if you don't address it, it will address you. And so we talk about, PTSD belonging to those veterans, those in catastrophic accidents. No, here to tell you, it belongs in each and every one of us. If today isn't the same as yesterday, and it just happened, and you're making your way through it, yeah, that's trauma.
So we're going to talk about this after your official trailer from your publishing team.
Okay. Oh, we're playing that one. Okay. Yep. This was my wake up call.
Yeah. So just real quick, I heard you say about what I learned. I don't think my podcasts are coping mechanisms for me.
Some of them you shared, yes.
Definitely, because I truly believe that, even though you do all the stuff that you're doing, public speaking, and we still have demons at night. We still think of the demons. And, I've seen now they're talking about you can get a shot in your neck now. Have you seen that where you can get a shot?
No.
I'll talk to you. I think it's called, I don't know. I'll look it up when the thing's going on. But yeah, there's a shot. There's a doctor in Maryland where it's a 2-day process where you can get a shot in your neck. And it's supposed to relax you and make you feel more comfortable. But the veterans that I've talked to, they sleep better at night. They are more productive, but the demons are still there.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't, I'm driving down the road and, I'm hit with a wave. You can't predict it. There's no, memo that comes across. Nobody's sending you an email saying, hey, today's your day. No, you can't. It is part of your nervous system. It is part of
So
your
let's knock out this commercial break. I'm going to drop you down.
Okay.
Compose yourself, and I'll be right back in about 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Sounds good.
This is where it began. I didn't die, but I didn't come home either. Leaving the house felt harder than surviving. I didn't know whether to face it or disappear.
They didn't take my story. They took my life.
All right. So, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay. So, 1 year later, what has changed the most about you personally and professionally?
Ooh, personally, I would say that emotional intelligence. That was, and I think in a lot of us, that was a weak link for me. And so it really became a matter of putting words to emotion and feeling them and really writing. Again, go back to the ADHD dyslexic girl. And what I discovered is that with writing and just the researching of those topics, that brought a lot of healing. And it brought a lot of healing because I was able to discuss it in a public forum and people understood it. And I realized that when speaking, and I think this is why I get called quite a bit to speak and do different things, is it's going to be interactive. If you're going to pay for a ticket or spend an hour listening to me, well, we're going to talk about what's important to you. And so before anything and everything, I ask for different questions. They can be anonymous questions or named, and whatever the case may be. But we're going to hit on what's most important, because I guarantee you, whatever your question is, somebody else is sitting there thinking about it. And those have been the most healing for me. Because again, here I am. Yeah, I'm the one carrying the conversation, but I'm amongst a group of peers that understand me and that I understand. And with just the personal, what have I learned is that there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not broken. I'm not impaired. I'm not a misfit, not any more than I was before. We're all a little bit misfit. And so really understanding that nothing is wrong with me. I'm not different. I'm not that 10-year-old kid in 5th grade that just got diagnosed, and now you've got the glasses, the headgear, you're in resource, and Oh, bless her heart, dyslexic, ADHD. And so it took me back to an earlier trauma. And, that was a discovery I didn't expect. And nor did I believe that what happened way back when still had a hold. It still had power. And so when you're really able to work on the emotional intelligence, work through the psychology, however you feel, however it works best for you, really, we're all a little bit different in that. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing as long as you're doing it. You don't have to be speaking. You don't have to be listening. You can be in your room by yourself, telling no one about it. There's no protocol. There's no protocol for recovery. There's no magic wand, secret, feel better, potion I can make you. It is an independent, it's a personal journey.
So have you been on some? So what has podcasting taught you that you probably didn't know when we first recorded the episode? Have you been on some podcasts?
I've been on, I think, yes, probably over 80 podcasts. So a lot of podcasts. That was a big part of last year, 2025. No two podcasts are the same. There's no script. When I was first getting on these, I thought, well, I'll prepare a script. This is what I'll say. Of course, we have some different topics, questions that we're going to touch on. But I don't think that in one podcast we've ever stayed on topic. We've ever addressed just that one piece of information. No two podcasts are the same, but all podcasts give individuals an insight into how unique we are, yet still being very much the same. We're all human. We're no one's perfect. No one has it together. It's a lie. You can look as just perfect as possible and have the best job, the best family. No, there's still cracks. There's still holes. There's still growth. And so with podcasting, I've learned that this is an opportunity to be very honest, because there's no second chance. And that was one of the things that I wrote about most recently. I've got thousands of pages of blog material that'll start coming out. My entire journal, mate.
So I'm about to show a couple pictures while you're talking.
Okay.
From that day.
Yeah. Yep. But this is the opportunity to be honest and hope that someone out there that just jumped in to listen found value, found hope, found peace. And I've had a lot of people that have listened that have reached out, and those are always very uplifting to know that one sentence you shared got them on a different wavelength of healing. It turned their mindset, set their thinking in a different direction. Because sometimes, we're so linear. We have to become abstract in how we process. There's no straight line. You will see me zigzagging everywhere. And no.
So even though they can't see you, I still want you to talk about this. So I'm going to just do this here. You can hear me, right?
I can. Yep.
So what has writing and speaking, building Restore 180, and launching the next chapter taught you?
What has it taught me? It's taught me a lot of patience, perseverance. It has you and I publish very differently. So I'm with a publishing house, and you do the indie publishing. And I've learned that with there's a lot of hurry up and wait, and I'm not a wait person. I'm not. I'm get it done, close the book, move on, and that was the whole emotional problem. And how many of you are like that? Let's just rip the Band-Aid off, get it over with, put it to bed, move on. And that's not possible in publishing. The nonprofit is very challenging. When you look at very successful nonprofits, they've been around for decades. You don't get up and go 0 to 100. It's work. It's hard work. It's daily work. It's a move forward, move back. RF180 has maintained the same, we'll say, theme background, but it's changed. It's evolved, we'll say, with how people receive the information, how we connect.
What is it? What is it? What is the description of it? I mean, I see you doing a lot of workout, and I saw some online videos you working out with people.
Yes. So it really is that small group. What I did when I was in the worst part of recovery, when I really couldn't do too much, was write curriculum, essentially is what it became, that I needed. I couldn't find a group of people that I could just sit with that blended in every aspect of trauma and could take that power, that sting away from it and say, I get it. I feel the same. I understand. This is what happened to me. And it didn't have to be, like I said, those catastrophic things. I didn't want to live in my nightmare forever, but I wanted to learn from it and discover who I was and who I could be. And along the way, what I began to hate were terms like therapy, psychology, survivor, trauma, PTSD. I was so sick of being labeled. And I thought, why can't we just have some group coaching? People get together, learning from each other. We've got coursework. We can train facilitators and put people back together, reconnect. And that's where RF180 eventually landed, is those small groups, 5 to 11, 12 people together, meeting, reconnecting, and sharing their unique journeys, challenges, or just having fun together, going and working out, taking a walk, going to the farms, looking at animals, partnering with other rescues, and going and doing real life stuff. 2020 really separated humans, and everything now is remote, and you really don't have to leave your house for anything. You can just stay in, not see, talk, do anything. And that's very unhealthy. Very unhealthy. We are human beings. We need connection. We need support. We need to socialize. And somewhere along the way, a lot of that ended.
Did you think after the podcast I was just going to be like, not talk to you? I mean, because you know that I've been engaging with you and sharing some of my podcasts with you, and I know that you're extremely busy with public speaking and stuff, and I know that you've been watching a few, but do a lot of your podcast people keep in contact with you?
Several, especially through Facebook, because mainly Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. So a lot of those. And really, that's the way I stay caught up with them, and they stay caught up with me. And it is busy. What I think important to share, but January took me back to a very dark place, a very low place of realizing, number one, I had not overcome as much as I thought. And I had a lot of things coming at me. I had renters in my house at that time that thought that I should be paying the rent for them, supporting their lifestyle. So I was dealing with that eviction. Someone who challenged my truth and took me to court on it. And I had to sit the entire month of January and recount the last 4 years of my life. And then on top of that, I had to move back into the home I died in. I was attacked and died in. And I felt like I was going to just fall apart. I had fallen apart. And so I guess we'll call it take a step back. Didn't really, I hate to say isolate, but I just didn't communicate a lot. The month of January was just one of those where it started January 2nd. I'm like, oh dear God. I mean, when is it going to end? And it hit hard with everything that could possibly hurt the most. And by end of March, I was in survival mode. I had locked into just routine and survival mode. I had lost probably 15 pounds. I was just like a robot, just doing the same thing over and over, getting back home, do it again. And the end of March is when I said, you know what? I got to get out of here. I've got to leave the house. I've got to leave the state. I've got to go. And so it was then that I separated myself from what is normal routine, what is comfortable. And I put myself in, well, in some cases, less comfortable places, we'll say, and slightly more dangerous. And it was it's very good for me. I would not say that everyone needs a controlled chaos setting. I know that the military and police, they do it a lot, where they put you in very much a choice of just deplorable, threatening places. And you begin to rely on your survival instinct. And suddenly you cannot think of just the grandiose amount of pain that you're feeling. Suddenly you have to work through it, because right now your body's like, all right, this is fight or flight. We've got to make it out. We did this, but we've got to figure it out. And so the brain changes your entire thought process. And it was in those 2 months that I overcame just what felt like the end of my life, just the point of quitting, giving up, walking away. And, one of the things I'll speak about and talk about, part of the curriculum, is really taking yourself to a place that scares you a little bit and working your way back to safe. I had to work my way back to safety. I had to realize that I was strong enough. I could do this. Wasn't going to, win. It became the challenge. And it became the one thing that saved my life, even though, a couple of the places I was pretty sure you'd find me on the black market, but I made it out. And it wasn't, it was the best thing I did for me. It's not for everybody, but to reset my entire life, my entire headspace, that is what I had to do. Pack the car, pack my dog, and off we went. And when it was time to come back, I did.
When I interviewed you a year ago, you told me before you told anyone else about a manuscript.
Ah, yes, the manuscript.
But you are now a published author, and you're selling them out left and right. You said this is sold out?
It is sold out. It sold out within the first 3 weeks. So before the month ended, yeah, 3 weeks, it was out. And this this was, and until January happens, this was going to be part of the book that was that one shattered day. And when January happened, when I was forced to dig up the facts of my life and just live in my truth, that is when my publishing company, my project manager, said, wait a second, this is not the book. You did not come off of what the book is. And so I had to come off of it. I had to open myself up to those frightening things, the most vulnerable moments, what people said, what people did. Nobody wants to talk about the moments they were bullied, threatened, accused, left. Who wants to say, okay, here's every weakness I have, come and take a hit? But that was the story. That is the story. And so the manuscript was released because my publishers wanted the world to know who I was, how I thought, what was going on when that happened. And now it's time to tell the truth, the psychological. The physical was obvious. Anybody can figure out the physical part. It doesn't take any effort at all. But it's the emotional and psychological piece of trauma that we all need. And we all need that honesty.
So are you now under the Life Rewritten trilogy?
Life Rewritten trilogy, yes. And so The Shattering is going to be the first book that comes out, The Shattering. We're working on finalizing the book cover. Get that hopefully next week. And that one really goes into that night, that right after the attack, what happened, what led up to it, and all the things that I went through after the physical trauma, all the things that what I learned a lot of us go through. How are you going to bully a trauma? How are you going to bully a trauma patient? Well, it happened.
Did you sit down? Did you sit down with somebody and they did your new book because you went to a dark place?
No.
To do these new books?
No. Yeah, I have them all. No, my little dark place. I did a lot of my best writing when I was traveling. So no, nobody. I've had the same publishing company, same editors, publicist, project manager. So it's still my words, my story. Yeah. So I really wanted them to write it. I asked if I could have a ghostwriter, and they wouldn't let me. Since it is my life, I'm probably the best one.
So I want you to thank your PR team for having you on, but there's a couple things I want to say before we wrap up. But if you could go back and give yourself advice 1 year ago, what would you say?
Go with it. Go with it. Just go with it. Don't fight it. Don't resist it. Just go with it. Go with it. Save yourself a lot of energy, a lot of anger, a lot of time. Let it happen. Let it unfold. God didn't bring you this far to just dump you off here. So yeah, go with it. And that's easier said than done. But the moment those emotions boil up and your head is about to detach from your neck, just go with it.
So what is today? What's a daily day for Chelsea Elizabeth?
My day, wake up, and then Amelia, my Great Dane. I still have her.
Well, should I say a week?
In a week.
You seem like you're extremely busy with your team. They have you doing all kinds of different stuff. You're doing public speaking.
In a week's time, I I started putting things in my calendar. And like I said today, I was like, no hard stop. Everything got, rescheduled. And so what is on my calendar right now will be completely different by Friday. And so I get up and I go with it. Whatever happens, I get up, I get ready. Whatever unfolds, whatever I have going on, I'm prepared. At night is usually when I do most of my writing, right before I go to bed. Whatever kind of happens throughout the day is really where a lot of my content comes from, because there are conversations that I never planned on having. I make it a point to stay out of the house. We'll go to the park. I'll go work out. Anything and everything, just to put myself in, I guess, just that energy. It really is that energy, the energy of people. I still can't go to Publix and not get stopped for conversation, even when I'm not, head down, gotta go. But I've always been that way. Human connection, conversation, people breathe life into me. And so it's a matter of going with it and just letting the day unfold.
With me following you, I mean, I'm following you. So like on social media, I saw that you were going to do the launch. Were you at Tyme? Now I'm going to catch you off guard. Were you at Times Square when your book showed up?
Yes.
On the launch?
That was part of the that was part of the journey. That was part of the get out of the house and go.
What went through your mind when you were standing there watching your book in Time? Was there a lot of people there watching?
Oh yeah. Times Square is always crowded. How fast can I get out of here?
Do you think a lot of people bought your book you think people bought your book when they saw that?
There were a lot of, the QR was scanned quite a bit. So I believe so. I would think, because it went up twice. It went up in February and it went up again in April. Two different.
For how long?
So my trailer, 60 seconds. So it ran twice an hour. So it ran.
And that's what I showed, right? That's what I showed?
That one was released. That one came out in April. Yep.
Okay. All right.
And that's why we released the manuscript.
What's next? What's the next chapter?
What's the next chapter? Well, right now my publishers are doing a lot of media outreach for the next book. They've done the formatting, working on the book cover. So I've got those approved and sent back in. Only God knows. I stopped making a lot of plans because I think oftentimes plans set you up for failure, disappointment.
Are you working on the book cover yourself?
I did the mock-up of it, so I sent the idea. I don't have the technology to, do the artwork. But
so if you ever need help, because I design my own book covers, I can always give you some recommendations, and you don't have to give me no credit. Send them to your team, because I think even though you have a team and they're real professional, all that, it's your journey. It's your book. It should be your cover, instead of someone that listens to your story, because I always have people be like, hey, I can promote your book, but do you really know what mental health is? Do you know what PTSD is? Do you know what I went through on that day when I got attacked?
Yes, if I could put just one public service announcement out. Before you send me a message, please do your homework. Please do your homework. I'm going to respond as politely as possible, but if you're wanting to sell me and you don't even know what you're talking to me about or what's going on, and you're telling me you can do something that's already done, that's a problem. And don't send me a message. One message, I'm so busy right now. I'll get back to you when things are slowing down. I can't wait to tell you. And I'm like, whoever came up with that pitch, delete it immediately. If you are wanting me to hire you for a job and you're sending me a message telling me you're too busy to talk today when you engaged with me, Oh, that is just not going to go far, because if you're too busy to, not too busy to engage, but too busy to tell me what's up, we've got a bigger problem at hand.
So did you only have a limited copies of these?
Yeah, it was limited release, and they sold out real quick.
So did you make Amazon bestseller?
Oh, I don't know. You know, somebody asked me how many books it was. I haven't even gotten on there and looked.
So you do know, and I think you need to talk to your publishing team. It's not about how many books you sell. It's the search. Because
okay.
if you scroll down all the way down underneath your author name and you look at your data for your book, go down and look, tell them to go back and pull the data from when those books were selling. So my book, The Broken Mirror, hit twice Amazon bestseller in mental health and ebook. So it doesn't have to be just a hardback or a softback. It can be the ebook or the Kindle. Yeah, and it's called the SEO search.
Okay, yeah, I have
They do the search. So, if you ever need help, because I'm not going to brag. When I first talked to you, remember I was like, hey, I won a book award and I'm blah, blah. Now I'm a 6-time award-winning author.
Cool. Yeah.
So, and I believe that those things are called credibility, Sure. And if you have a team, that you're spending that much money on, that's what your team should be doing. Getting that message out and making you be the best that you are.
Yeah, thank God I'm not paying. So that's, no.
Yeah, and I remember you were saying that you were looking for a team that you didn't have to pay for it. Somebody was going to pick up your story.
Yep, it got picked up. That's the blessing.
That's great.
Yep, so that is good. Because that was a lot of focus that I didn't want to hold up when I'm building the nonprofit, when I'm, actively wanting to speak to people. And what I didn't write because I expected to be a published author. I wrote because it was my way of healing. And when somebody encouraged me to start sending it out to lit agents, I said, fine. If anybody picks this crap up, we'll go with it. But I said, I'm not paying somebody to publish my word vomit. And so it's really a joke. I still had that, remember, ADHD, dyslexic, retarded kid. And when it got picked up, I thought, oh, crap. Well, now what? And now what has evolved into a trilogy and a franchise, and people that I get to interact with and be a part of their life, and them a part of my life, and a journey that nobody has to do alone anymore. When you give words to the emotions that you're burying, suddenly that doesn't have the power over you that it once did. And when you can remove that power, that's when you can become that version of you're desperate to find. And it was in removing that power, that dark cloud, that I'm a misfit, this isn't right. It was then that I began to understand what it was like to live with what happened. You've got to live with it. And if it has power, you're not going to be doing a whole lot of living. And it took me a long time to admit that while my words were saying, fine, survivor, my core was not. You're muted. You're muted.
Okay, we'll do that again.
None of that.
Yep. So there are two more things. Closing question. If somebody is listening today and feels stuck and broken or uncertain about their future, what would you tell them to remember from what you do on a daily basis, from your story, and from this podcast?
You got to talk about it. You got to remove the power. I don't care if you call your mom, dad, best friend, a stranger. Hit me up on social media. Tell me. You've got to talk about it, because until you do, it has a greater power over you than you realize. So get up and talk.
Final thought. Do you have any questions for me, Chelsea?
What's the next? What's next? You have gone from podcast host in your travel trailer to now you're out of Orlando and up in Pennsylvania. So what comes next?
I have 3 more episodes of this podcast, season 3, and I will go into hiatus until October. I have some public engagements, and I'm starting my purpose tour. So what is your purpose? So basically, when I walk out on the stage, I'm going to be like, what is your purpose? You know?
Yeah.
Why did you come here? Why did you come here to listen to me? What is your purpose in life? Yep. You know?
Yep.
And then mental health, suicide, military transition, and if I can get out and get in engagements with people that are like retiring or authors that are transitioning, you know? And then the 5-year plan. Like, I'm not going to crunch numbers or anything, but like, if you retire, where are you going to find yourself in 5 years? You know?
Yeah.
You know, so, and then the reflection series dropped a couple weeks ago. That's all 3 books combined into one.
Oh, very good. Okay. Yep. I'll
And
have to get that.
all 3 of my books are on audiobook now.
Oh, good. Yep.
Yeah,
that's,
so.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I appreciate is podcast, the audio. Because you can.
I've been on so many podcasts that I can't even like count. Like,
well, that's good.
Yeah. I'm in a break right now. So I'm already recorded up to July 1st. So this will drop on July 1st. So I had a leadership podcast the other day with this gentleman, JJ. His stuff will stream on Wednesday. And then I sent the one to you, the guy that was burned up in Iraq. Yeah, that one was a banger. I thought it was kind of funny because you took a while to hook up. You took a while to connect today. It took him like 5 minutes to connect, and he's completely blind. So I was like, wow. And I'm like, wow, he must do this all the time or something, you know? But he's like, no, I actually don't speak about my trauma no more. I go out and speak to like young kids and other adults because he doesn't want to remember it. He's now an ambassador for Building Homes for Heroes.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. No, I stopped doing podcasts.
Yeah.
Back.
What's happening with me is I had my birthday yesterday. I turned 57 yesterday.
Yes, I sent you a happy birthday. So happy
My
birthday
daughter
to
turned
you.
19 on the 15th of June, and now she's a coach.
Oh, wow.
Not just a little cheerleader no more. They scooped her up and made her a coach. The same.
Oh, I love it.
In Orlando.
Good.
Top done.
Good.
Top done. She's killing it. So I'll get to see her, but I got my, I got my passport, so I'm going to do some abroad traveling and take my podcast live. So, but yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool. So, final thought. 1 year ago, we started this conversation. Today, we're celebrating growth, resilience, purpose, and the next chapter. What is the final message that you want to leave with the audience?
Ooh, the final message. You don't have to be mangled. You don't have to be scarred to have trauma. Validate yourself. If there's anything I can leave you with, it's validate yourself. If, Amelia, my pup, God forbid, I've had her 9 years. If I lose her, I'm sorry, that's a major tragedy. Relocation, major. Don't sweep it under the rug. Don't minimize the toll that an event had on your life because somebody said, get over it, or that's not worth it. You are entitled to feel. You are entitled to not be okay. And once you can accept that life is one trauma after the other, then you begin to move with it a lot better. So if there's anything I can say is validate yourself. It happened. It happened. And it hurt you. And that's not okay. But it can be. It can be better. So my message to anybody is you're going to have to heal from something more often than not. So let's start talking about it. Let's not make these vulnerabilities, our weaknesses. Let's make them our strengths. Let's not pretend everything's okay when it's not, because that pretending is just going to crush you. And whatever you could do, it is holding you back because it has all the power. We talk about silent sentence. What is your silent sentence? And it's that sentence you tell yourself when you walk into a new room, walk in stage, walk in a new job, interview, whatever it is. What is that silent sentence? And for a lot of us is, I'm not good enough. I don't belong here. They're going to laugh. Those silent sentences are detrimental. And when we're not accepting life's hits, those silent sentences get louder and louder. And they stop you from going in those rooms, and they stop you from going up on those stages or writing the song, the book, whatever the case may be, applying for the job. So don't minimize what happened.
So I wanted to say thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for clearing your schedule. Because I said 45 minutes, we're in an hour and 12 minutes. So you're an amazing guest.
Oh, yay. Yeah, no, I always tell everybody we'll probably run long.
Tell your team, thank you very much for letting you come on again.
I will.
This is not the last, but I'm not coming back to Florida. But if you're in an engagement somewhere up north, I'll definitely, when I'm out traveling, try to come by and hear where you're at and maybe pop in and surprise you.
Oh, I love that. Yep, you heard them up north. Give me a call.
Yeah.
We'll go. Yeah. Nope. Love it. Yeah, it has been quite the journey, and it has just begun. And, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm glad anything and everything happened. I'm not. I'd rather have my little private, quiet life back.
Yeah.
But there's a reason, and if the reason is one person that hears this, then it was all worth it.
Well, you're definitely out there killing it, and I'll just tell you that your quote is "Together we rise." Oh, together we rise, restore. Right?
Yep. Together. We can't go anywhere. Go further, faster together. And
all right.
Yep.
I'll have all your contact information and all your website stuff in the description.
Good.
So love, peace, and joy. Thank you very much. I'm going to drop you down and do the closeout. You were amazing.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now. Wow. Chelsea Elizabeth out there killing it left and right. So I am Storytime with Stevo, and this has been the Crawl, Walk, Run podcast, season 3, episode 22, That One Shattered Day, with Chelsea Elizabeth, author, speaker, survivor. Killing it, man. This is a 1-year anniversary. She was the very first guest I had on my podcast. So, that being said, mental health is a life sentence without parole. I'm Storytime with Stevo. Peace.
We were trained to endure, to adapt, to overcome, But nobody prepared us for what comes after the uniform comes off. This season, we're pulling the curtain back on the system veterans are forced to survive, not just serve. From suicides happening at VA hospitals, to mental health care that falls short, to growing fears about disability compensation ratings and cost cutting. We're asking the questions no one wants answered. Why are veterans still fighting for care? Who's really being protected? And who's being left behind? And what happens when silence costs lives? This isn't politics. This isn't opinions. This is lived experience. Season 3 of Crawl, Walk, Run, where we stop whispering, start questioning, and refuse to stay silent.
Crawl, Walk, Run has been brought to you by Storytime with Stevo. And speaking for the once in silence, we are the voice of the unheard. If you have a story, please reach out. Till next time.